It's been a long time since you guys see me card fight. In today's video, I'll be bringing you my match between Lianorn and my Ghryaundra deck. Now, Dragoconnector Ghryaundra is a deck I've recently featured on my channel with the full breakdown and deck profile for it. You can check it out in the link in the description below, and I had the opportunity to take it to my locals on a Saturday and give this deck a try. I actually think that this matchup is really important because the person playing Lianorn is very experienced with the deck. Also, on top of that, Ghryaundra is a deck that I myself have been experimenting with as well, despite my final deck profile for it. There are a few ratios and things I feel like need to be tweaked. There are also a couple cards I would like to experiment with and try, and I'll bring up like throughout the video on how maybe if these cards were in these situations, it could have been better or not. But nonetheless, we're going to be doing a reaction to my card fight, discussing where I went wrong, my good plays, bad plays on both ends, and to just see how the fight went overall. And as usual, you guys, before I can show you the video, if you enjoy seeing content like this, you make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Do not forget to hit the notification bell so you guys are always up to date on my newest videos coming out. Alright, so we got the match started up here. I also do want to say I have had more time to try expanding my editing skills and new things and new techniques. So you're going to see a lot of new effects and, card designs, in the card fight actually. And let me know if you guys are enjoying it. If not, I can simply just go ahead and get rid of all of it. It's less work for me to do. But I just want to go ahead and make the card fight as entertaining as possible. But as I was saying earlier, I'm playing against a Lianorn player, and my opening hand was really bad. It consisted of, I have a picture of it, 2 Brachio Forces, a Madoka, and then only like 1 combo piece to get going. When going second with this deck, it's good if you block early because you only need about 1-2 counterblocks to get your Xaxes going and your other plays, and also I don't have to discard for anything while riding up. So I go ahead and take the aggressive approach here, but this is where I messed up at. I called Shenri behind my Vanguard, but because I'm so used to people not having rear guards at the beginning. However, because he's using the Aurora ride line for Lianorn, he already has a rear guard in play, and I forgot about it, and that was just me taking a second to rethink my strategy because I put Shenri in the wrong spot. I should have called it to the rear guard circle and swung with both of those units, and then Shenri could become a booster later for one of my other cards I would have put into play, and I could have taken advantage of it like that. I go ahead and swing, I get a Madoka for my drive check, he goes to grade 2 Aurora, and he starts building up his combo plays and starts doing just, plant token rush shenanigans. Drops the Rosarian Fairy here, and then Fairy will go ahead and make, 1 token into 2 tokens, and then to wrap it up, he switches things out, which he should. So the Lianorn player is actually in a really good start here. He's got the friendly Broccoli active, the Vanguard swinging for 15, Broccoli's going to be swinging for 20 because of Broccoli's effect. And then he's got the Rosarian Fairy, which is 13, so everything here requires a 10k guard minimum except the Broccoli, which does require 15 if I want to stop everything. So my mentality here was I'm gonna block 2 of these attacks, or like 1 of them, because that's all I can afford to give up, and I need my other pieces to hold on to because the shield from Madoka wasn't good. The opponent didn't have 4 cards in drop yet. So I end up going ahead and taking these 2. I lose out on Xaxes and a perfect guard. Losing Xaxes hurts because at this time I didn't have it in my hand and I didn't have the comp piece needed to go. Grhyaundra kicks in, I ride into Gandra, and I get up to 3 more energy. And at this point, I do have double Brachio in hand though. And this is why I stated in my deck profile, I like Brachio because you're about to see the impact that it has, but also there are other cards that I do want to try because I have a lot of open CB. So he lets the Brachio go through on the plant token, and Brachio's effect is going to kick in. This is where I messed up at though. I used Brachio to retire the other friendly Broccoli, but what I really should have done was use Brachio to knock out the Rosarian Fairy. I should have swung with the Vanguard to the rear guard and then used Brachio to swing at the Vanguard. Not only would have been forced to take it so we can get the damage for Lianorn's effect, but it also let me knock off another body on board. And I know that doesn't really matter in Stoichia because there's so much revival and things going on. However, my opponent's hand already wasn't very large, and on top of that, it just would have, to me, done more pressure and would have prolonged the game because, once again, this deck does nothing in the early game, so the double Brachio play was the best I had. But he ends up taking the damage from the Vanguard attack and not the Brachio, which is where I messed up at. I could have knocked out like 3 rear guards. And then he goes and starts his turn. So my opponent is not playing the Lianorn Mask Vivace list. He's just playing Lianorn then into Vivace, which is good for me because, obviously, since he's going first, I don't have to deal with, him having an insane amount of attacks or anything of that nature. In this situation, he does still have more rush pieces. He drops the new grade 1, but he's going to switch it out for Alentis in a second. which I am not entirely sure if it's the better play, but I guess if he wants to hold on to the revival effect for later, that's fine. I don't think, but I also don't think my opponent knew what my deck did because his board setup was just kind of weird for that. So Lianorn kicks in, you know, you do the Soul Blast, you ditch something, you get triple drive, boosts everything. It wasn't a really big number, but like I said earlier, I have to hold on to my pieces, so I let the Vanguard swing go through and I just pray that I can block the rears. So he goes in order, Alentis, critical trigger. The critical is not fun to see. I do my damage check, I hit a heal trigger, which is really good, get back the Xaxes, and then my second check is a Madoka. So I'm at 3 damage now. I'm going to do my best to not take any more at this point, but his numbers are looking pretty good. The Alentis Rosarium column cannot hit me, but he gave the power to that other one, so he'll just swing in my rear, which is fine. At this point, Brachio has served his purpose. Doesn't bother me. And then he swings with that, and I have to stop it at this point, because going up to 4 before he hits the Vivace turn would mean death for me if I don't build up my hand later. Here I'm counting the drop zone to make sure I have enough shield for the Madoka. If I drop it, I don't exactly remember. But I'm about to find out. But yeah, no matter what happens, I had to block this attack. So I did have enough shield for the Madoka to get the additional 5k shield, and the other column couldn't hit me. Alentis goes away. He gets to draw and countercharge. And then my turn starts. Love my ride line, don't have to discard, and I finally get to go into my Vanguard Grhyaundra. So at this point, you're just sticking to your typical strategy here. I think I had 2 Melt Knuckle Golems in my hand. I had to get Grhyaundra active. This is why the misplay is actually like really important, because it just throws off the whole board. The Vanguard doesn't need a boost. I already have Resonance in my hand and 2 Melt Knuckle Golems, so at this point my rear guards just need to be much stronger than what they were. And it didn't matter because the timing for the Vanguard, the Shenri effect would have been off anyway. But I use Melt Knuckle Golem, Energy Blast 3, draw to another Melt Knuckle Golem, Energy Blast 3, draw again. At this point I'm digging for Xaxes, but I already saw that I lost it. The good thing is though that I had 2 Melt Knuckle Golems and I had Resonance in my hand, so I pretty much had like the weaker version of full combo to get going, but I had enough to start. I played an order this turn, so Shenri was going to be live. So Andra's going to kick in. Andra gets 5k because I have a Grhyaundra in play, and then the grade 1's effect gives additional 10k. The effect of both Melt Knuckle Golems kick in, they both get 5k on their own because the opponent's Vanguard is grade 3. So at this point, my numbers are going to be really big outside of the grade 2 Andra, which is why I really needed Xaxes, because giving that additional 5k when your opponent's at grade 3 is huge, because it would have forced him to drop 20k shield in the first attack versus the 15 he did for that one. But the Vanguard kicks in with the Shenri attack. Both Melt Knuckle Golems happen again. That gives additional 5,000 power to each of them. So the Golems on top of the Vanguard and the Resonance order, the front row has plus 40. Except the Vanguard, who only has the plus 20. 10k from its effect, 10k from the order. But then I have the 13k booster to make up for it, which in this scenario isn't bad. I get my Twin Drive, I get Defensing Roar, the Blitz Order, and a critical trigger. It doesn't matter where it goes to at this point because both Golems are, they're the exact same number and they don't have boosters, which is very unfortunate on why Shenri was back there, but it is what it is. So I use Shenri's effect, she goes into Soul, draw a card, so because I want to make sure I'm more defense piece to survive the Vivace turn. I swing with the one Golem that does 1 damage, the other Golem is really, really big right now. So he just goes ahead and takes that. He hits the OT defensively, which is fantastic for me because it means that on the Vivace turn, I don't have to worry about it. And at this point, I was checking his drop and stuff. I think we're out 3 crits, 2 heals, and 2 draws. And I only have 3 drive checks that I have to worry about this turn. I also forgot that Vivace doesn't give Persona Ride power, which is actually a pretty big deal because that means that the first wave attacks are not as powerful as a normal like Persona Ride turn would be. But he gets Luster Impact on board with the Rosarium Fairy, which is going to be a problem because that means that Yuno will gain on both attacks an additional 15,000 power. So the Rosarium Fairy is a magic number multiple times. So the strategy here, after he gets done placing all of his units, he gets the plant token up for the Alentis, is I'm going to block as best as I can the first wave of attacks, and then On the second wave of attacks, I'm going to hope for defensives and just brave the Vanguard attack. I have the Defensing Roar, I have another Madoka, I have a 15k shield in my hand, so it really just comes down to how he attacks, but I think defensively speaking, I ruined my own strategy, and you guys will see in just a minute. Because I need to block both rear guards, take the Vanguard, and then take the other rear guards, and then try to just block the Vanguard. But he swaps columns. The grade 1 gets 2k power, and then Alentis also gets, I think, 5k power now. So that column should be 25, if I'm correct. I'm counting my hand, I'm thinking. But that's looking on the outside of this now. That's exactly what I should have done. I should have blocked both rear guard attacks, brave the Vanguard, and then, you know, figure it out from there. But I blocked the first one because it wasn't much, and now I need to block this one. This one is really huge though because the Rosarian Fairy kicks in. So the column is 23, but then you add another 15 to that, so it's 38. I hit a defensive trigger, which is really good prior to the Vivace attack. But one thing I forgot about Vivace is that she's not like the other Lianorn. She boosts with the whole board, not just the Vanguard. So that kind of threw a wrench in my plans because I think defensively speaking, I had to let it go here because I just didn't have the stuff to take it. But I lose out on Justina, which is a pretty much a copy of our order gone. And then Vivace kicks in. Then he gets to restand, and then those units get 5k power. But he's dictating on who he gets to restand because my defensive kind of messed him up. So the Vanguard restands, he restands the Rosarium column with the dragon. Which, looking at it, is an awkward choice too. I feel like actually he could have just put the dragon in the front in this case, because then he would have had magic numbers for everything. The grade 1 gives a 10k bonus, so I mean Rosarium Fairy would still be hitting a magic number if it had a separate booster. But he goes in for that. I blocked the Vanguard attack, which is a 15k because the drive is only 1. The Rosarium Fairy is huge at this point. It's going to be 8 plus 15, that's 23, another 5 because of the effect of the Vanguard, the grade 2, so it's 20. The number, I think it was like 53 or 58. I had Madoka full defensive value at this time, and then I dropped a double Madoka. I had the defensive order as well. So we're just thinking about the numbers. So right now I'm 28, 23, 38, 53, 58, and then I use the Defensing Roar on the Melt Knuckle Golem specifically because I'm going to get energy back for the turn so that I can reuse it. So the Melt Knuckle Golem is speaking of 15k shield, and I get it back to my hand. That card actually is a card I didn't think I like, but despite having only one copy of it, it's kind of grown on me. It's kind of grown on me a little bit. But I do think that replacing it with the Regalius Peace Blitz Order, the Twin Cast one, is probably the better option. I get Persona right here, you know, which is always fantastic in this deck. So I, you know, 3 energy, 10k the front row, draw a card, and then I get to build my formation up the way I want to. So I was thinking about playing the, it's another unit in my hand. This time I get my formation right. Yep, Grhyaundra in the corner, Grhyaundra behind the Vanguard. I'm setting up my board, and I think this time I have full combo. I think I have Order, I think I have Xaxes, and I have a booster. So there's Xaxes right there, there's the Shenri right there. Yep, and I had the Order. So I had full combo at this point, and this means that my opponent's at 4 damage. They're gonna have to drop a lot to stop this turn. The Melt Knuckle Golem, the Xaxes kick in because the Grhyaundra kicked in. That gave 10,000 power to Ghryaundra. Xaxes, Melt Knuckle Golem are gonna get 5k because this is the first attack. And then this time, because I have Xaxes in play, I can use the Xaxes effect to counterblast 1 and give additional 5k over to that Ghryaundra. So this Ghryaundra is swinging 30k at my opponent now, which is huge because, as you can see, he's going to have to use other cards to start building up his hand to block the rest of these attacks. But combined Persona, Grhyaundra's effect, and the Order, I'm going to give 30k to my front row once my Vanguard 20k to my front row, my Vanguard restands, and then my front row is a 10k already starting off. So, yep, Grhyaundra kicks in. That's 10k from its effect, 10k from the order. So the front row with Persona has plus 30, which means that Xaxes by himself right now is huge. And so is Melknuckle Golem. The Vanguard will attack. This is going to be 43 at Lianorn. He PGs here, which is fine, drops the order. Then my Twin Drive is a Brachio Force and a draw trigger, which isn't exactly what I wanted right now, but I'll take it because at this point, you know, as much power as I can get to push is huge. So Xaxes by himself is front, Persona, Grhyaundra, order, 2 attacks off Xaxes effect and trigger. That's plus 50,000 power to Xaxes, so he's 63k. The Golem is always 3k short of what that is, so it was just too big for him to stop. After the match had concluded and reflecting on my deck, I was actually really pleased with my performance in this match. I think that my defensive plays were correct. The only thing I messed up was, you know, putting the Shenri behind the Vanguard. At the time, I thought it was the correct move to do, but I don't think it was the best. Because I had the Brachio Forces in my hand prior to that. So I actually could have gotten more advantage from the Shenri if it was on rear than it was behind the Vanguard later. And it wouldn't have messed up my formation, made my numbers better. But outside of that one misplay, the match went in my favor. I was able to draw into my combo pieces later from the draw triggers, the Xaxes effects, the Melknuckle Golem cycling out, Twin Drive, Shenri. The deck can do a lot of compression once it sees all the pieces needed to get active and going. And that was just really good for me. And for the deck, the one change I made from my original list that you guys saw in the Grhyaundra video compared to this fight was I switched out 1 copy of the Madoka for Justina. It wasn't just this match, there was another match the same day where I realized that if this deck does not see full combo, you know, Booster, Xaxes, Melknuckle Golem, whichever one's in the front row, and hit the order, the numbers really do struggle. And this is one of those decks where, like, you have to be on beat for every single turn. Otherwise, you're gonna have a really hard time and the matchup's not gonna be fun for you. So seeing the Resonance Order, seeing a Melknuckle Golem or a Xaxes, having a booster for your rear guards is huge because your Vanguard's naturally gonna supply your first attack out of your 4 attack turn, so you don't have to worry about that, and then you just need the other pieces to commit. So I think that swapping out 1 copy of Justina for Madoka is the better play. It means I'm playing 7 copies of the order in my deck. I still think that Madoka is important to have, so I am keeping it at 3. I'm not trading any more slots for that. The Brachio Force, I think that Brachio Force was the right card for this matchup in particular because it had the on-hit pressure. I just didn't, you know, take full value of it because of how I was guarding. On top of that, the only other card I could think of that I want in that moment would be the grade 2 that lets you retire when on call and then call something out from Soul from the Festival Collection set. And that's because it would give me the retire in the early game. I could call my grade 0 starter to get a booster onto the board that was an Andra card. And then on top of that, I would have also been able to get myself my Shenri's back later in the game and take advantage of all the extra CB that I had because if you don't really draw into Zac speeds, you're not eating up as much counterblast as you think you are in this deck, and I want to make sure I'm taking full value or playing cards that take full advantage of that. But that concludes today's card fight, guys. Thank you so much for staying tuned throughout the entirety of the match. Let me know what you guys think I could have done better or the Lianorn player could have done better to make this game, you know, be more competitive or more aggressive. And tell me your thoughts in the comment section below on what else you guys want to see from me. With that being said, I'm your host, Prime Vanguard, and I'll catch you later. Peace.